I'm not being facetious. If we enacted the fair tax, one of the most researched ways to revive our economic future, we would get rid of the IRS. Secondly, I agree we need to revamp Homeland Security. It's a mess, and we have a real problem with the way that it's currently structured. And the
30 seconds is up.
What's that?
30 seconds is up.
Oh, okay. I'd get rid of the IRS, and that would count for most of the problems. Most people in this country are more afraid of an audit than they are a mugging, and there's a reason why.
We got more questions on this topic. This next question is for Senator McCain.
My name is Ronald Lanham from Mobile, Alabama, and I want you to tell me, do you support the elimination of the federal income tax in favor of a national retail sales tax, also known as the fair tax? Thank you.
Governor Huckabee supports it. Do you?
I do not. And I think we should look very carefully at it. And I think we should look very carefully at some of the provisions which, according to the Wall Street Journal, would increase an individual's tax rate up into the 30s. Obviously, we need a simpler, fairer tax code. Everybody knows that. We need to have a commission that reports out a credible proposal, and then we do what we do with the base closing commissions. Congress can't fool around. They either vote yes or no. If Congress can't fix the tax code, give me the job, and I'll fix it. I just want to also say that Congressman Paul, I've heard him now in many debates talking about bringing our troops home and about the war in Iraq and how it's failed. And I want to tell you that that kind of isolationism, sir, is what caused World War II. Allow
him his answer, please.
We allowed Hitler to come to power with that kind of attitude of isolationism and appeasement.
Okay.
And I want to tell you something, sir. I just finished having Thanksgiving with the troops, and their message to you is, the message of these brave men and women who are serving over there is, let us win. Let us win.
Right. That's what they want. We will, please. We will get to Iraq. All right. Let me just remind everyone that these people did take a lot of time to ask these questions, and so we do want direct questions to the answers. We will get to Iraq later, but I do have to allow Congressman Paul 30 seconds to respond.
Absolutely. The real question you have to ask is, why do I get the most money from active duty officers, military personnel? So what John is saying is just totally distorted. He doesn't even understand the difference between non-intervention and isolationism. I'm not an isolationist. I want to trade with people, talk with people, travel, but I don't want to send our troops overseas using force to tell them how to live. We would object to it here, and they're going to object to us over there.
All right, we will have a lot more on Iraq coming up. It's obviously a very heated topic. Sticking on the economy, though, a familiar face asking a very simple question.
President Bush made a commitment when he ran for president in 2000 and 2004 that he would oppose and veto any tax increase that Congress sent him. My question to each of the candidates is, would you promise to the people watching this right now that you will oppose and veto any effort to raise taxes as long as you're president?
I doubt you can do it, but very short answers. Congressman Tancredo?
Yes, I can. I have the highest rating, by the way, from the American Conservative Union of anybody on the stage. And yes to Grover, because he knows I have the highest rating from the Americans for tax reform. Thank you very much, Grover. Appreciate it.
Governor Huckabee?
I would, Anderson. In fact, I've signed a pledge to that effect and would keep that pledge.
Governor Romney?
I've signed Grover's pledge as well. I believe I was the first person on this stage to do so.
Mayor Giuliano?
Yes, I would. I did it as mayor. I would do it as president. I had one of the best records in the country for lowering taxes while I was mayor. I expect to have a great record as president.
Senator Thompson?
Cut tax cuts for 8 years when I was in the United States Senate. Never met a tax I like. I've got a tax cut bill on the table, but I don't do pledges to anybody but the American people.
Senator McCain?
I have a 24-year record of opposing tax increases and supporting of tax reductions. And no, I like Fred. My pledge and my record is up to the American people, not up to any other organization.
Congressman Paul?
I have never voted for a tax increase, never will, but the tax issue is only one half of it. You can easily pledge not to raise taxes, but you have to cut spending.
Congressman Hunter?
You know, I came in with Ronald Reagan in 1980 to cut taxes, and I probably voted for more tax cuts than anybody here. But you could have an emergency, a time of war, and I think it would be wrong to say absolutely I would pledge to Grover Norquist that I would never raise taxes. Could have a national emergency.
All right, next question.
Hi, I'm Ted Faturos from Manhattan Beach, California. Nothing says delicious like cheap corn subsidized by the American taxpayer. For a lot of Americans, however, a bitter taste is left in their mouth when they learn about how the U.S. taxpayer bankrolls billions of dollars in farm subsidies that mostly go to large agribusiness interests. I'm curious which candidates who label themselves fiscally responsible will endorse the elimination of farm subsidies if they are elected president in 2008.
Governor Romney, a lot of folks in Iowa interested in this answer. So I hear.
Not to mention Kansas, Missouri, North Dakota, South Dakota, and so forth. We don't want to find ourselves with regards to our food supply in the same kind of position we're in with regards to our energy supply. And so it's important for us to make sure that our farmers are able to stay on the farm and raise the crops that we need to have a secure source of food. And so I believe in supports that will allow us to do that. At the same time, I recognize that we're also investing in new technologies to get ourselves energy independent. And I happen to believe that some of the best sources for having renewable energy come from the farm. And so we're investing with subsidies in those areas to create new technology that otherwise wouldn't be ready for the market yet. So I support these programs. And finally, I'd say this. We have in our nation about 1 out of 3 acres that are planted are for sale overseas. We send products around the world. We're competing with European and Brazilian and other farmers, and we're competing in a marketplace where they are heavily subsidized at great disadvantage for our farmers. And so if we're going to change our support structure, we want to make sure that they change their support structure. And we do this together, as opposed to unilaterally saying we're going to put our farmers in a tough position and have the farmers of the rest of the world continue to be subsidized. So open markets, let our goods go around the world, and secure our source of food.
Mayor Giuliani, 30 seconds.
The governor is right. It isn't a level playing field. The subsidies in Europe are far higher than they are in the United States. We could reduce subsidies here if they would do it there, but we shouldn't do it on our own. And also, we have to be very aware of the fact that we have to have our own supply of food. We can't be dependent on foreign countries for our food. So both of those reasons would say that although simplistically it might seem like you'd want to get rid of all the subsidies, you've got to do this very carefully, and you have to do it in concert with these free trade agreements and other agreements you're making so that European countries reduce their much heavier subsidies.
Since we're on fiscal matters, I would be remiss if I didn't ask this question since it did just break a couple hours ago. This is to Mayor Giuliani. Politico broke a story a few hours ago questioning your accounting of taxpayer dollars as mayor. They say that as mayor, the report says you took trips to the Hamptons and expensed the cost of your police detail to obscure city offices. One, is that true? And if so, was it appropriate?
First of all, it's not true. I had 24-hour security for the 8 years that I was mayor. They followed me every place I went. It was because there were threats that I don't generally talk about. Some have become public recently. Most of them haven't. And they took care of me, and they put in their records, and they handled them in the way they handled them. I had nothing to do with the handling of their records. And they were handled, as far as I know, perfectly appropriately.
Great. We have asked all the campaigns, we should point out, to submit 30-second or so campaign-style videos, YouTube-style videos. It was open to them to do it in any format they wanted. Our first video, and we're going to be playing them throughout the night, some of them out of commercials, some of them during the program, is from Congressman Tancreda.
Hard-working, do you understand the difference?
Because this issue of immigration is one of the most serious public policy issues we face.
What do we do now?
We have got to actually begin the process of assimilating people.
They may not talk to you if they think you're also going to be enforcing the immigration laws.
No more obfuscating with using words like, well, I am not for amnesty, but I'm for letting them stay.
Well, I don't have enough time to tell you all the mistakes I've made.
The Republicans can stop this.
That's the first of many that we will see tonight. All right, let's have our next question from a YouTube viewer.
Hi, my name is Leanne Anderson, and I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and these are